Everybody, it's Janine from Tuscola County Early Head Start, and I just wanted to stop today to talk a little bit about stress and coping during this coronavirus outbreak. So I want to start by saying that stress can look very different from one person to the next. There's no one size fits all for what that's going to look like, depending on your background, any trauma that you've endured in your lifetime, even the community that you live in. Those are all factors that are going to play a part in what stress looks like for you. And just a few of examples of what stress can look like. It can look like changes in sleeping or eating behaviors or patterns. It can look like a decline in mental health or even physical health. It could be excessive worry over your own health or the health of your loved ones. It could be problems with sleeping or concentrating. It can even look like increased use of alcohol or other substances as a way to kind of self-medicate. So a couple of things that we can kind of do if we're feeling super stressed out by this whole COVID-19 and everything, this crisis that we're in, we can kind of take breaks here and there from the news, from social media, anywhere where you're kind of repeatedly hearing about COVID and, all the devastating effects and whatnot. Not saying that those things aren't important to know, because I feel that they are, but we also have to take care of our mental health, and we have to take breaks from that, kind of repeated stress. So taking breaks from that is a good idea. Also trying to get some exercise, whether it's just going outside for a walk or, kind of whatever physical activity kind of suits you and your schedule. That's going to be a big help too, because when we exercise, our brains release those feel-good chemicals that kind of make us feel better. So that's a way to kind of combat some of that stress we're feeling. Some other ways we can combat stress is to kind of make time to unwind or relax or do something that's kind of that me time. That's a good way to try and, relax a little bit, and also connecting with others. So checking in with family members, with friends, even if you can't see them face to face, try to call them, text them, FaceTime them, whatever you need to do to kind of keep those social connections, because especially for people who are prone to depression, we're very isolated right now. And that can be devastating for our mental health. So we want to make sure that we're staying connected with others. And also too, if you're feeling super overwhelmed, there are resources out there to kind of help, people to talk to. So please reach out. I want to talk a little bit about what the stress is looking like for kids. So I want to start by saying, on that note, that kids learn everything that they're ever going to know about how to react to stress and, situations like this from the adults around them. So if we are extremely stressed out, maybe we're struggling financially, and that's added stress, and trying to get the school schedules all coordinated, and, trying to figure out where your next meal is coming from. All of those things, our kids feel that stress. So we just want to kind of be mindful of that, and try to not shield them from it completely, because I know that that's really hard, but to just kind of keep that in the back of our minds. And if there are things that you can maybe wait to talk about or vent about or whatnot until maybe the kids are in bed, that will help kind of lessen the stress that they're feeling that's coming kind of directly from us. So also, because kids handle stress very differently, and they're not all going to react the same, there are some behaviors that you can kind of maybe expect to see that are pretty typical for when we're kind of going through an extremely hard time like we are right now. So when you see excessive crying or irritability, that's fairly normal. Kids might even return to behaviors that they've normally outgrown. For instance, a child that has been potty trained for quite a while could regress back into having frequent accidents or bedwetting. Acting out is another typical response to stress. So, you know, our kids' world has been kind of turned upside down by this, really. So we have to kind of know that with them being off their routine and not having, you know, the stability and knowing what to expect, so that you will see some, you know, maybe some negative behaviors come out of that. And also too, stress can manifest itself into physical symptoms. So kids might complain of headaches. They might complain of stomach aches. And so it's important to kind of remember that and not necessarily think that maybe the kids are trying to get out of doing their homework because they're complaining of a stomach ache. But if doing homework is stressful for them, they very well may be experiencing that physical stomach ache and not just kind of trying to pull one over on you. So some ways that you can kind of support your kids through this. When we talk to our kids about what's going on in an age-appropriate way that they can understand, that's going to help probably ease some of the anxiety that they feel about it, because just kind of keeping them completely in the dark or refusing to talk about it with them can even kind of create more anxiety for kids. So also, you want to answer any questions that they have in a way that they can understand. And it's okay if you don't know the answer to say, like, you know what? That's something that we might need to look up. Let's look into that. And finding, you know, an answer as good as you can for them will help them, and also help them feel connected to you, because then they know, well, mom doesn't necessarily know everything. Yeah, I do. Also, limiting their exposure to news coverage and things like that will be very helpful. And, you know, just trying to be a role model for kids as best as we can, trying to, you know, model those good habits of eating well, getting enough sleep, taking a time out when you're feeling super frustrated or like you're on the edge of losing it. So one other thing that I want to talk about before I go is kind of keeping in connection with people. So this is a very isolating time. People who are prone to depression can be feeling that right now with, you know, kind of not having the support that they normally have. So, you know, check in on your family members, check in on your friends. Hopefully everybody's being checked in on themselves. But when you reach out, it kind of gives people that lifeline that sometimes you might not even know that they need. So whether you call them, you text them, you FaceTime them, especially for people who do suffer from, you know, mental illness, and maybe they struggle with depression or, you know, other things like that can kind of really be helpful for helping them know that they're cared about and they're safe and they're loved. So also too, yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to kind of talk about. But on that note, so if you guys notice any behavior changes in your kids or, you know, other members of your family, and you have questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to support you in any way that we can. And hopefully we can help answer some of your questions and ease some of those fears. So thank you guys for listening.